We could change the world with love it all unfolds. Ooh, no holding back. We gotta be bold. They say it's over, but I'm not sold.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement. I am Stephen Yuri, author of Pet Series books with Curiosity and Encouragement. With us is also my friend, my publisher, Susan Louise Gabriel. Um, Hi, Susan. How you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is Thanksgiving week, so kids are out of
Yes, it
school.
is.
It's gonna be fun this week to get rid of them. All right. So I want to let everybody know that we have a very special guest with us today. Her name is Natalia. She's gonna Schifini. Did I say that correct? Schifini.
That was close.
It's Italian. It's
Mhm.
Italian.
Yeah.
She told us it's Italian, and she's from Argentina. And she is a holistic life coach as well as a diabetes coach. She is very adamant on women's health. She's also bilingual. She's an A certified wellness coach and personal trainer. And she is in the process of writing a book. So, without any further ado, let's bring her onto stage.
Hi,
Hello,
Susan.
Natalia.
Hi, Natalia.
Hi, Stephen. Hi, Susan. Thank you for having me tonight.
You're most certainly
Well, we-
very welcome. Thanks for coming on. Um,
It's a pleasure.
so again, did I say the last name correct? Is it Scafini?
You did. You got it right. Yes, Schifini is
All right.
Italian.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one.
Good job. Good job.
Um, I know the cultural difference. I immediately want to go into the SCH and announce it, like the Scafini. So to hear you say it as Scafini was, thank you. So welcome on to the Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. I want to start. Let our listeners and our watchers get to know you. Tell us about your journey from Argentina to a diabetes and holistic life coach.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about my journey, what I do, the reason why I do, what is my biggest passion, and also the idea of writing a book and the motivation behind that message that I want to share with the world, with the United States. And it's a big passion that I have. Health and wellness has always been a big passion. I came here at the age of 19 with a group of Argentine and Brazilian people after studying hospitality for 2 years. And I share with you, Steve, I worked in one of the most beautiful hotels in all the United States in Washington, D.C., the Willard Intercontinental.
Mm.
And it's a very sophisticated five-star hotels where a lot of the presidents of the United States in the past have stayed at. It's also the hotel where the mint julep drink has been created and named. So it's a very sophisticated place. I worked in hospitality for 5 years, and I love doing what I did. Yet the more I got promoted and opportunities came, I was working longer hours, less pay,
Mhm.
and very stressful kind of a job. And so in 2001, after being here for a few years and being in hospitality for a few years, I decided I wanted to be a wellness coach. I wanted to be a coach in the gym, helping women and mostly women, but people of all ages and backgrounds to lose weight, to get in shape, sport performance, rehabilitation, pain, all these things. And that's what I did. I transitioned from hospitality into the world of wellness in 2001. I became a personal trainer, then I became a yoga instructor, then I became a hands on healer. I'm a Reiki master, educated myself with all the healing modalities, alternative modalities of healing. And in the last few years since the pandemic, I also became a neuro linguistic programming practitioner, helping, kind of transform the stories that we have, the neurocortex, the makeup of the brain and the stories that we tell ourselves that keep us stuck or
Mhm.
limit our experience of life, being able to transform that. And also a hypnotherapist and holistic
Ah,
life coach. And so I have a lot of education in different things, but my biggest passion is wellness. I really like helping people, empowering people. I like seeing people go through that transformation process of starting with a struggle in an area and being able to empower themselves, feel better, feel inspired, accomplishing things, manifesting things in their life that weren't there before. So in the last 3 years since the pandemic, I've been mostly focusing on training women with weight loss. And in the last year, I made a little bit of a shift into working specifically with women that have been diagnosed with diabetes type 2, insulin resistant, or pre-diabetes. Uh,
mhm,
and I'll share a little bit more about that. But basically, that's been my journey. I came here for hospitality, then did a transition into wellness, and situations and the journey itself had led me to where I am. And I feel like almost like my mission is calling me versus me looking for the mission. You know how sometimes we ask, what is my purpose? I never ask myself, what is my purpose?
mhm,
I feel like things kind of lead me to the next stage, and I understand what I'm here to share is very much the empowering message and being able to step into educating yourself and transforming things in your health. And it comes with a little bit of responsibility. You have to be disciplined and understand what you're doing,
mhm,
because there's a lot of misinformation. And that's one of the reasons why I want to share my unique message of holistic reversal of diabetes type 2. And I think a book would be a great idea so that people can,
mhm,
that there's not just one way, the allopathic way, the doctor's way. There's also prevention and taking our health in our hands to be able to do it in a holistic and a less, invasive way.
mhm,
And so long-term health is going to be based on how much medicine we take and how we take care of ourselves. So that's my main
mhm.
purpose, to share that.
Yeah. Natalia, what state do you live in?
I live in Melbourne, Florida. I'm an hour away from Mickey
Okay.
Mouse House, and the coast, and I get to see the launches from the rockets. There was a big launch yesterday, I
Mhm.
think it was. I see the
Yes.
launches from the front of my house. So I live close to the beach in Florida and close to all the launches from
Mm.
SpaceX.
That
Very
sounds
nice place.
great. Do you have like a local group that you lead, or is everything that you do virtual
I
over the
just
internet?
I just started teaching at a local crystal store, and since I'm here, I'm gonna say Essential Wellness. I'm gonna give them a shout out
Mhm,
because they provided a physical space after 3 years of not being in a physical environment. I done the last 3 years everything online. I have a group where I teach. I have a
mhm,
program that I lead. Everything is 100% online, and it wasn't
mhm.
by choice. It's like that's how
Yeah.
I started with my business 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
now I'm extending more to do things live. People want to meet people now.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
One of the things that, in talking to you, that I absolutely adore is that it starts with mental health first. It's a mindset, it's a mentality. When you
Yeah.
get
When
into needing to make a change, it's not just a physical change, it's also a mental change. And
Mhm.
I appreciate that you actually go after that first rather than going after the changing every
yeah.
other aspect.
Yeah, we are human
Mhm,
beings and we have one body and one life. So when we approach the body holistically, we take into consideration the emotions, we take into consideration our journey, we take in consideration our experiences, the way we've been raised, what culture we come from. And I have this triangle, I'll put it here, see, body, mind, and soul. So, as
mhm,
women, what happened is we become busier as years go by. We become mothers, we marry, we finish education, then we go into the American dream of buying the house, getting the job, getting promoted. This triangle that is supposed to have you in the most important place at the top, the most important thing, turns upside down and ends up being that everything else is most important and you're at the bottom of the barrel and you forgot yourself because if you're committed to raise a family and take care of people and make a difference in the world, it's very common that we
mhm,
occupy our energy into the outside and we forget about ourselves. So, a lot of the women that are in my group that get called to my message and what I teach are people that are committed to big things, that want transformation in the world, that they're very educated, they've done personal growth and transformation, and there's
mhm,
still something in their life that is either not working or not working the way they want. And so,
mhm,
pretty much, the concept is coming back to this balancing of the body, mind, and soul. And if your triangle went upside down because you want to focus on everything else that demands your attention,
mhm,
calls your attention, the first process is really making this go upside down, where you are the most important thing and coming from a place of generosity and giving yourself grace and not feeling guilty about that. I find that a lot of women feel guilty to take care of themselves, that if they do that, they feel they are abandoning something else, they're not taking care of something that's important to them. And I always invite women to change that mindset because once you take care of yourself, you make the most important thing, then everybody else is going to benefit from the version of you, and you're going to come from a place
mhm,
of generosity and true love, compassion, and wanting to make a difference versus feeling resentful that everything is pulling your attention. You're overwhelmed, spinning in wheels, not sure where to go, what to do to start taking care of yourself. So, the
mhm,
first process is really looking at the mindset of what does it mean putting myself first? what
mhm,
How do I do that? How do I not feel guilty because all these things that depend on me are going to be somewhat set aside until I
mhm,
take care of myself, and developing that muscle of taking care of myself first, always without feeling guilty because everything else sorts itself out. And I find that we're not built that way. As women, we want
mhm,
to do, give, make a difference, and then we're very good at giving advice, but not so great at implementing our own
mhm.
advice. And that's pretty much, bringing it down to the practice. That's what we do in the program, really bringing yourself to the most
Yeah.
important point and taking care of
Mhm.
yourself. Yeah.
So that would be the first step then, is to get concentrate on your mental attitude, on your thought process, or what you're thinking that is preventing you from being able to focus on yourself and
Yeah.
your health.
Becoming self aware on what is the mindset
Mhm,
that you're operating in life. Am I coming from
mhm,
this place of I'm overwhelmed, I'm a victim, I can't, I'm too busy, I don't have time? Or am I
mhm,
coming from a place of, you know what, there's only one body, there's only one life, I'm the most important thing. And if I were to give anything from a place of giving value, the most valuable thing is I'm taken care of, I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, I'm centered and grounded, and I'll give my kids the best of me, my husband the best of me,
mhm,
my job, my clients, my business, whatever the case might be, will get the best of me versus what I have left. Does that make sense? So it's the mindset.
mhm,
It's very important coming from a place of I'm important just like they're important. I'm not more important or less, but I have to start with me because everything falls
mhm,
apart when we forget about that.
mhm.
Love that. Um,
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, you could have reached that. You couldn't have reached that point without having some challenges. So, what
Yeah.
challenges have you had to overcome to be in the stage in your life?
Well, I came at the age of 19. I say I came by myself, but I came with a group of 26 Argentine and Brazilian people. So from 1997 until 2023, it's been 26 years of being here. So you can imagine I experienced all kinds of challenges. The first year I couldn't work here and get paid. Everything I did was for free. So I would work in hotels taking
Hmm.
care of kids and
Yeah.
serving at the restaurant and doing anything that I needed to do to take care of people for the whole first year. And then after that, it's just finding the way to be in front of the opportunities, to be recognized for something that you want to do, to catch that wave of an opportunities that's there. And I feel like many times I've been in the right place, but many times I was faced with challenges that I needed to overcome. The change of
Mhm.
careers was a challenge. Going from hospitality, that was something that I had a lot of experience, and starting brand new in wellness was one. And then, being faced in COVID with not being able to do what I like to do, being out and about with
Mhm.
people and talking with them and helping them out. It was another challenge. I've been challenged more than once in being the example and the role model I wanted to be, because one of the reasons why I felt motivated to share what I share with specifically women is that they're not able to take care of themselves, they're not able to lose weight, they're not able to keep the ideal weight. And I had my own share of challenges with that, and that's the reason why I became an expert, because I had to
Mm.
learn, how do I do this, how do I make a big difference in the world, how do I take care of my clients, how do I lead my business, how do I become a mom and a significant other and lead my household and not get overwhelmed with that. So I feel that life is a challenge, and every day you're
Mhm.
thrown with a million challenges. And so it's just putting the focus in one place, and understanding that every challenge that is thrown at you, there's always an opportunity on the other side. My spiritual belief is, I'm a Buddhist, and Buddhism is very much focused on that. If there's a challenge, there's a reason why you're being faced with that challenge, and there's going to be a transformation, and you overcoming it is going to make you a better person. And the victory on the other side is going to give you something that's really precious and valuable. So,
Mhm.
having that faith to go through the challenge, understanding there's a reason that you're being kind of like the diamond, under
Mhm.
pressure being shaped into something better.
Mhm. Yeah, in
Awesome. I love
Christianity,
that.
there's a similar type of belief, and I wrote a poem about it called "Thou Art the Potter," and it talks about how we're shaped into the right shape that God has intended for us. And He's the one who is, taking off a little here, a little there to make us into the shape that He would like to have us be in, and to do, the things He wants us to do. So, it's very similar kind of positive message,
Mhm.
that can really help other people, as far as how they live their life, and how they rely on something that's beyond themselves, something, a belief in a higher power, and something, that's, um they can't do that on their own. People, you can't, you can keep trying and trying and trying to do it on your own, and you just find you don't have the power sometimes to be able to do that. You don't have the control, um, and it can get very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I think faith is something that shapes us and it makes a huge difference in
Mhm.
our life. I love seeing the parallel in all faiths. I was raised Catholic and I understand
Mhm.
the concept of it. And I feel that the Holy Spirit is sort of like the little talk in the ear, like the instinct, this
Yeah.
sixth sense. And many times when we quiet down and we listen to that sixth sense, that little whisper in the ear,
Mhm.
it's almost leading you into the path and where you're meant to be, what you're meant to do. But it takes something to quiet ourselves down and really trust that nudge, that voice, that whisper in the ear that is leading us. And that's why I think that it's very important for us to connect with ourselves. And that's why I start with this mindset of being aware and being centered on how you feel and how you operate in your life, not just doing something, really connect with the soul, with your intention,
Mhm.
with everything, the core of your being, and really start listening. What are you supposed to be doing? Many
Mhm.
times we know what we're supposed to be doing, we know what we quote unquote should do, and we resist
Yeah.
it or we have something come our way. So many
Mhm.
times I find myself being the mentor, like reminding people, bringing them back to that carved path that is in front of them. And many times we get busy, distracted, overwhelmed, or resist that nudge that's very clear and we're meant to follow. So I
Mhm.
find that it's almost like a facilitating that process of people finding themselves, listening to the nudge and honoring that path, because we're meant to be in optimal health. It's the busy life and the stress and the demands and all these things that we try to do, make a difference in the world and be everywhere at the same, at the same time, that gets us to forget about ourselves. We're not meant to
Mhm.
be unhealthy. We just have a very fast pace and we're not focused on what we need to focus. So if we bring the focus to start preparing the meals from scratch, being choosing the raw ingredients, planning our week, being intentional on what we bring to our house, many times we can reverse a lot of these chronic diseases that are
Mhm.
epidemic in United States. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I believe that it's important to share the message, to be able to empower
Mhm.
people to get educated, to take control, and to take a more proactive role in their health versus waiting for the doctor to tell them what is wrong with them, giving them the pill, and going into this treadmill of taking this medicine that gives you the side effect for which you need another medicine that gives you another side
Mhm.
effect. I was
Yeah.
raised in a family that owned a pharmacy. My parents owned a pharmacy for 30 some years. And
Wow.
so I understood from a young age, this is pharma, this is a
Mhm.
business. We're going to be told all these things are good for us because they make more money. And they're not always interested in us healing. They're interested in
Mhm.
us consuming this healing that they're trying to sell us, which is more managing than reversing chronic diseases or being able to
Mhm.
reverse things such as diabetes type 2 or things like that. They're totally reversible. Yet we think that we need to wait for the medicine to do it or the doctor to tell us. And the guidance that we get is very mixed, is misleading, and many times is completely wrong. And so I find that my purpose have found me, my mission has found me because in going through this myself, I've been diagnosed with pre-diabetes condition this year. I actually got myself a little bit overwhelmed that I had to find my way. And what was the result of this challenge? One of the things that you're asking me, Steve, is
Mhm.
from that challenge of being faced with pre-diabetes condition, within 4 months, I was able to find a way to reverse it holistically without having to take medication and or anything else that the doctor was telling me was the next step if I wasn't able to do it on my own.
Mhm.
So I have a big passion to share that message. I have a big passion to empower women to get out of overwhelm, to put their focus in prioritizing their health, feeling less guilty about leaving certain things aside, and understanding that the most important thing is mindset and this balance of the mind, body, and soul. That's how we find that peace, that grounding feeling, how we can be empowered to create whatever
Mhm.
it is that we want. If we don't start with a core of our being, which is health and our mindset and how we feel, nothing is going to work. And so it's very important that we make it a priority.
Mhm.
Yeah, I happen to agree with you in pharmaceutical field. It's not about reversing any damage. It's all about just managing the symptoms, managing
Mhm.
um, the disease, or managing just
Yeah.
making it tolerable, and that rather than trying to heal or to reverse or
Mhm.
to completely cure. So I appreciate that you bring that up, and that listening to you, I know that you've had a lot of struggles in your journey there. Um, During that time, did you ever have a wow moment that just made you realize that this is my calling? This is what I want to do. This is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, I think that Colin came this year. My mom passed last year in October. And in October of last year, I understood that one of the biggest motivations for me is to help women get out of that rat race, the little hamster in the wheel, running around like a chicken without a head, multitasking, overspread, completely stretched to the max to be able to take care of themselves, because the life that she led was beautiful. She helped a lot of people, but many times when you watch her and how she performed in life, she was taking care of everybody else and not taking care of themselves. So for me, that became a big motivation. A lot of the things she struggled with were preventable and something that she could have, being empowered at an earlier age, but she was just running around doing a lot. And so it became one of the biggest, motivations for me to be able to help women out, get out of overwhelm, get out of prioritizing everybody else, the obligation of being there for everybody else when they cannot be there for themselves. And so there was a big shift in October last year. I started offering more of a holistic life coach kind of material to be able to find joy, to be able to heal trauma experiences in life, and letting go of things that are burdens that we carry, like we're victims. And people did this thing to us, and we carry like a
Mhm,
story that makes us sick. It makes us feel disempowered. And
mhm,
so I find that holistic coaching means that we keep this in mind and we use that as a foundation for everything we build on top. So we have to let go of this mindset of a victim, mindset of being there for everybody, mindset of the good girl that wants to impress everybody, like everybody, be there for everybody, forgetting themselves. And when I got diagnosed this year in the month of March was a few months of very, very stressful situations and things I had to manage that were thrown my way unexpectedly. And the stress itself, I have a suspicion, is the reason why I got diagnosed. And
mhm,
so when that happened, I had a aha moment because I said to myself, if I'm here, I'm diagnosed, I'm now like overwhelmed, researching, trying to find out what's true, reading, and then kind of confused. Is this true or is this true? What happens to women that never been in the wellness field, that have not been a personal trainer, have not been a yoga instructor, have not had to lose weight, and all of a sudden they find themselves in that point where the doctor says, "This is your diagnosis. The option is medication, and
mhm,
you have to go eat right, lose weight, exercise." If anybody know how to do that, they probably wouldn't be there to begin with, and come back in 3 months, which is coming back to the same thing in 3 months, with the condition
mhm,
being the same or worse. So it takes a lot of being proactive, looking at your life, making changes, transforming the way your lifestyle is, and living a new life, because you're never going to go back to the way you're living. So this year, in the process of healing myself from pre-diabetes, I understood I have a very precious key that I can share with, and show women that you're the most important thing, that there's a lot of things that are preventable, reversible, but nothing will happen unless you actually pause for a moment and acknowledge, there's things I'm not able to work, or they're not working the way I want, and I need to make some changes. So stopping right there, assessing situation, taking responsibility, and then creating a new plan over in 3, 6 months, however long it takes, where
mhm,
you make those changes. So it's almost like I had a aha moment that this is challenging for me. How would it be for people that have no clue how to do it? And they're looking for that guidance, but they're looking in Mr. Google's, which is completely misleading, overwhelming, wrong information, hard to discern what is the right way to go.
mhm,
So if you go to the doctor and get the guidance there, many times they give you a lot of information, well intended, but highly misleading and or plain and simple wrong. It's a blanket statement, and very bold and blanket statement, that a lot of the guidance we get on nutrition is based on the way we used to eat starting in the 70s and the 80s, which is no fat, which means that they load things with sugar. They load things with carbohydrates to make
Mhm.
it taste better. So it really, quite frankly, comes from that story, that the history, not the story, the history
Mhm.
of United States in the 80s. Oh, fats are bad for us. Fats are bad for us. So
Mhm.
everything became low fat. Guess what happens
Mhm.
when we take out the fat from the ingredient in order to make it taste good? Then we load it with sugar. So people started overlooking the fact that now there's no fat, but we have sugar. And everybody got
Mhm.
trained to eat the certain way with low fat. The first year I came here, all my friends started eating all these low fat things. They kept on gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight.
Yeah.
And it didn't make any sense. But that's what society is going through. You think low fat is good, so you eat it, and then it's loaded with sugar, which you didn't even think of. And so we have to
Mhm.
get to the point that we read the labels, we understand how bad sugar is for us in high amounts, and start modifying the way we eat, and have less of society concern of celebrating with chocolate, sugar, and candy and all that stuff. Every holiday in United States has a sugar or chocolate that goes with it, and every celebration has a bunch of sugar linked with it. If you notice, you have
Mhm.
Halloween and Easter, and you have Thanksgiving, and you have Christmas. And I think overall, the United States is a role model for the world in many ways. So it's more common in other countries, but this comes from United States, the society, the fast food mentality of drive through, get McDonald's, go to eat, and then you're
Mhm.
fatter every year. So a lot of it is changing the way we operate in life so we can create that quality of life and longevity that we're looking for. Nobody wants to be old and falling apart. And you have to start taking care of yourself when you're young so that that actually pays off in the later years.
Mhm.
I agree with that 100%. And everything that you're talking about, we had a comment come through from Rusty. It's all about mindset.
Yes.
And it really is all about the mindset right now.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I think that
Mindset.
was,
And yeah, and I linked mindset many times with mindfulness. And mindfulness is almost like a buzzword that's been going around in the last few years, especially after
Mhm.
COVID. We talk a lot about mindfulness and meditating. It's become almost like an esoteric thing. If people don't know what it is, they have no idea what it is. It's like, I don't know how to do that. It's like a different world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and they think that, oh, I have to meditate, I have to sit down this 15 minutes of practice of meditation. Mindfulness goes well beyond that. It's actually the way that you operate in life. It's just being centered and aware on how you feel, what's going on, how you're perceived, the environment that you are in. And many times, mindfulness is something that you start in the mat, in the yoga mat, or in your bed, or wherever you meditate in the 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you set aside. But ultimately, is carrying that feeling of being 100% present and aware into the activities of daily living. I don't leave the meditation in the mat when I do it the 15 minutes. I carry that feeling, sensation, emotion, mode of operating to my life. So I go through life being aware of what's going on, what I put in my body, how I feel. Do I need to move more? Do I need to be under sun more often? One of the things that when I got diagnosed with pre-diabetes, I called a very good friend of mine, a holistic practitioner in Chinese medicine. And when she read my exams, my labs, she told me, I have a suspicion that one of the reasons why you got diagnosed with pre-diabetes is because your vitamin D is very low.
Mm.
Vitamin D is something that if you're under the sun on a regular basis, and I live in Florida, so I'm
Mm.
under the sun all the time, there should not be an issue with. But
Yeah.
it's also, it's the way you live your life. So now I'm very mindful and aware that I tend to have low vitamin D, and I will go out every day and walk, be under the sun intentionally, go to the beach intentionally, so that I don't have that situation. But a lot of women deal with deficiency in vitamin D, is many times overlooked by the doctor, and what the side effect of vitamin D being low in your body is pre-diabetes condition. And
Mm.
so it's kind of like a little bit of a whirlwind that you have to kind of go and find the crumbs that lead you to the next discovery, because it's not given to us by the doctors, it's not given to us by pharma. Quite frankly,
Mhm.
they make money with insulin. They make way much more money with a sick, population of people with diabetes
Mhm.
buying the medications that they buy. I have a current client that's in 5 different insulins, because you start with one, it works for a few months, and then it stops working. Guess what? You need another one. It works for a few months,
Mhm.
and then you need another one. So it's like a treadmill. It literally is. You go into the health treadmill or you go into the sickness treadmill, and it's a choice. It's hard to stay in between. So empowering
Mhm.
ourselves around our health is something we have to take upon ourselves. It's like we step into educating ourselves, understanding what I can do for prevention and for self healing. Nutrition is self healing, exercise is self healing, mindfulness is self healing, quality of sleep is self healing, less stress is self healing, but we don't give ourselves the space. We run around, we spread ourselves thin, and we forget. And then we get overwhelmed, depressed, and we don't know what's going on. So mental health is a big problem. A lot of people are on medication for mental health. What would it be like if everybody was prescribed to be outside for 20 minutes, eat raw foods, choose the best ingredients, cook at home, drink plenty of water? That's pretty much basic, right? Common sense, but
Mhm.
common sense is not so common. So putting ourselves in environments where in a group we are able to create a structure and where we transform the way we live our life leaves us with this long-term benefit. I have clients that lost one client that lost 25 pounds working with me for 6 months. Now she lost another 20 pounds on her own because what she learned carry with her. She knows the way to do it. So you don't always need a coach, but learning the way to do it is very important so that you can actually self-manage and self-correct. We tend to forget
Mhm.
what we know, we tend to get complacent, cut corners, and
Mhm.
procrastinate. So we always need a little bit of guidance and support, and doing it in a group setting is always the best way. We get accountability, inspiration,
Mhm.
community that we're missing a lot. After COVID, we miss community. We like to be around people. So I think that all of these are things that are very healing for us that we forget that make a difference. And living the isolated, busy life under stress without taking care of ourselves, cooking our food, buying the best ingredients, drinking water, sleeping with quality of sleep, drinking water, and all those things. Of course, it keeps us sick.
Mhm.
But if we do these things and we're more proactive, more responsible, more aware, and we go with the approach of self healing, then in a period of 3 to 6 months, it might be a little bit slower, but you're going to have a long term result versus taking medication.
Mhm.
Maybe it makes it better for a little bit, but if you don't make the changes that made you sick, if you don't make the changes to fix what made you sick and you go back to eat that way, you're going to go back to being diagnosed. And that's the thing with diabetes type 2 is reversible, but it's not something that you heal 100%. You're going to have to always monitor your sugars,
Mhm.
carbohydrates, eat in a very mindful way, and watch what you do. Stress is very bad for diabetes because it throws our hormones off. Cortisol is something that
Mhm.
pumps when we're stressed, and it throws all the other hormones off. So if you're a woman and you live a life that you're stressed, you're spread thin, you have something that keeps you in a place of being constantly in that survival mode, that cortisol itself, it's a fat fertilizer that won't allow you to lose weight, that won't allow you to reverse that diabetes. And so we go and deal with the root cause. How do you live your life? Are you mindful and aware? Do you practice
Mhm.
mindfulness as a way of living? And what changes can you start doing week after week so that the result after 13 weeks, 16 weeks, or however many weeks it's going to take you is long term, not just a quick fix?
Mhm.
That's fantastic. I think the other thing that needs to be brought up in this is avoiding the other things, because in America we tend to mask or run away from problems using alcohol and drugs and things that are bad for our body as well. so we don't have to deal with the actual issue or the ailment that is presented before us. So I think also needs to be pointed out that to not only have the positivity of changing your lifestyle and eating properly and being mindful to avoiding um, those I don't know what we want to call them, but alcohol
Addictions,
and drugs and things
addictions.
like that. Yeah, addictions, absolutely.
Addictions,
That's
addictions. Everybody has an addiction. Everybody has some sort of addiction. For some people, would be food. Some people, alcohol. Some people, other things, scrolling and or being evasive with things. Um, so that's how you call it, really, addictions. Getting away from addiction. It's interesting because we look at alcohol and we know it's an addiction. We look at other things, we know they are addictions. How come we're not so concerned about the sugar addiction, which is highly inflammatory? It causes all this ruckus in our health, and we give it, to kids since a young age. We causes addiction at a young age. It's really hard to break the addiction with sugar. And sometimes, when I try to take care of myself, if you don't eat sugar at all, totally fine. You eat a little bit of sugar and you're going to go with that little sugar treadmill that I say.
Mhm.
You start craving it, you can't keep away from it. It's highly addictive. And so, it's something that we've been taught culturally, especially in this country. And there's also a lot of mental health issues, that keep people isolated. So if you're isolated and now you have to go interact after COVID, you go to a party or something. And one of the things that I was talking with colleagues the other day, you go to a party, you have to interact, the topic, the environment, everything is overwhelming. People tend to overeat. It's almost like they
Mhm.
eat more to deal with the stress. They tend to
Mhm.
drink a little bit more because they're overwhelmed. So, I find that mindfulness is something that can carry on to make a difference with everything and anything that we do, because we get to connect with our soul, with the way we operate, with our motivation, with how we can heal ourselves. But these addictions are something that many times are overlooked. Um, some of them we identify they're not good for us, alcohol and stuff, but sugar is a major addiction. And they compare it with crack cocaine because it's hard to break. And if you break it, you're going to be fine. But if you come back to eat a little bit, you go back into that
Mhm.
sugar wheel and it's hard to escape it.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that from experience. When I was in my 20s, I started having health issues, fainting for no apparent reason, things like that. And I saw a doctor, finally was diagnosed with hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar. So the doctor told me to go, I should eat more sugar because I had low blood sugar. Well, after I did some, that didn't help. And I did some reading and finally got a hold of a book that was very helpful and said that in order to overcome that tendency to have low blood sugar, you should not be eating sugar. That's the worst thing
Mm,
because you get an immediate spike in blood sugar and then it drops low in a short period of time. And that's
yeah,
what was happening to me is the spike and then the drop. And it was during that drop that I would faint. I would feel sick. So finally, I went on a diet of trying to not eat sugar, which was very difficult. This was back in the 70s. There wasn't any kind of food, that was pre-made that didn't have sugar in it. The sugar was in the ketchup, sugar was in mayonnaise, it was in everything. So
hmm,
I became famous for making my own mayonnaise and my own ketchup and everything that I could make from scratch. I did without the sugar, and
yeah,
I did that for about 3 years, and I haven't really ever had a problem with it since then. But I also have started eating sugar again, which I wish now that I had not started back on it, because, like you said, it's addictive.
yeah,
It's hard to not eat it, and I could end up in the same situation again. So it's obviously not a smart thing for me to do, but it's just one of those things. Your mindset you're like, okay, well, I think I'm cured now and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's definitely a mindset that you have to fight in order to stay healthy.
Yeah, it's almost like it's been put in remission, just like diabetes type 2
Hmm.
could be put in
Hmm.
remission, but you always have to check. You have to keep yourself aligned with the way
Hmm.
you gotta take care of yourself. You know, the
Right.
drop in sugar is more dangerous, or I don't know if I would say more dangerous, but it's as dangerous as high sugar. And
Hmm.
many people have it too. When you start, let's say you are on insulin as a diabetes type 2 person, they put you on insulin. They give you kind of like
Hmm.
grades of the amount that you need to use. So once you
Yeah.
start eating better, you need less and less. And what
Right.
happens is if you take too much of it, it makes your sugar go real low, and
Hmm.
that could be a
Right.
reason to be in the emergency room real quick. It's a fast
Yeah.
fast thing. So it's important for people that are on insulin to always be aware on the amount that they give themselves, especially if they're making changes proactively to improve their
Hmm.
nutrition and exercise routine, because it fluctuates very fast. But I always start this process of transformation with women with 3 days of no sugar. So I have a
Hmm.
72-hour cleanse that I do with them. I tell them, stay away from sugar for 72 hours so you can break the addiction. And
Yeah.
it's challenging. You can go 24 hours and then you eat something, you're back to
Hmm.
square one. But after those 3 days, 72 hours, you don't find the
Yeah.
craving. So I protect that sugar-free state. I protect it not because the sugar is so bad, but because I don't want to break that clean slate. It's almost like the chips they
Hmm.
give you from not touching alcohol when you're in recovery.
Right.
It's almost like I want to
Yes.
keep my chip, in that,
Yes.
because it's hard to get out. You get in the treadmill and it's hard to hop out. I tell people it takes
Hmm.
about 3 days of the body when it stops asking for it. And I liken it to kids. When you go to kids to the supermarket, or if you don't have kids, you
Yeah.
go to the supermarket and they get to the cashier and they want the candy. Mommy, mommy, I want candy, candy, please, candy, candy.
Yeah.
They start repeating themselves. Your body has that reaction when you had
Hmm.
sugar and you had all this insulin pump in your body, and the insulin worked and did everything you need to do to get rid of the carbohydrates and the sugar. But now you have this latent insulin there that doesn't have a job. It's
Yeah.
waiting for the next set of sugar and carbohydrates to come. So it's like it's a kid asking for sugar at the cashier in the supermarket. Is the same
Hmm.
thing because it's relentless. Please give me some more sugar. I just want a little candy, a little chocolate. It's the same thing. You kind of feel very weak
Hmm.
in facing that addiction, and it's hard to do cold turkey. So I say it's a mindset thing that you have to commit, and you have to honor the commitment. It's not how you
Hmm.
feel or try or see if you can. No, you make a commitment,
Right.
72 hours, and stay away from it. And if you don't do it for 72 hours, guess what? You go back to square one.
Hmm.
So you can do it because it'll keep you away from the this little cycle that we talked about. Eat
Hmm.
sugar, insulin spikes, then the sugar drop, you feel crummy, you crave it. It's hard to be
Hmm.
strong at that time. It's very easy to say yes to whatever because your insulin is screaming for more chocolate or whatever you want to eat. And
Hmm.
you put yourself in a very vulnerable position that if you were to avoid by doing the 72-hour cleanse, you eliminate the craving. Most times people don't experience after 72 hours, but it takes
Hmm.
that cycle of willpower and commitment and the
Right.
determination. It's not easy.
But I had to find, it's a shame that I had to find that out on my own, that the doctors were telling me things that were not helpful. And back then it was very difficult to find the right kind of information and find the right kind of recipes and really to figure out exactly what to do and to really come to the realization that it was eating the sugar that was causing the problem. And
Yeah.
and but that was never taught back then. It was there. You would have a very difficult time finding any kind of literature or anything that would say that. So and I think it's kind of the same way even now. There's a lot of misconception in the
It's
medical community over things like that, like you
so
said.
It's slightly different because back in the day we didn't have any information at all. So it was
Mhm.
lack of information and you had to kind of go on a
Yeah,
quest to research on your own, being
right.
proactive, discern what's valuable, what's not useful, what is not right or whatever. Nowadays there's an excess of information and the information many
Mhm.
times contradicts each other and it's also
Yeah.
highly outdated because of the situation we talked about with back in the 70s and 80s the fat was bad and so we went to eat low fat. Along with that we create the standard American diet, that pyramid that tells us what to eat, how much of what, and all that stuff. That is fundamentally flawed. If you
Mhm.
want to reverse diabetes, for example, and you follow this thing, you actually have to turn it upside down, like the self care triangle that we were talking about,
Mhm.
in order to accomplish the goal that you're trying to accomplish. And it's sad to say and very frustrating as somebody that is trying to help people, but doctors have not been educated to give nutritional advice.
Mhm.
Nutritionists have been educated with the old way of thinking, which is an old paradigm
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
eating with SAD, Standard American Diet, which makes SAD as an acronym. But
Yeah.
it's mind blowing, right? But to change that guideline, we need to go against pharma. We need to go against
Mhm.
what makes money. And so, in order for us to wait for that to happen on its own, it'll never happen. So, it's almost like
Right.
taking the power in your hands, educating,
Mhm.
discerning, looking for the information. There's some functional nutritionists nowadays that have been educated the new way, and they're like much more aware on how you need to eat, what you need to avoid, and so on. But many times when
Mhm.
you go to the doctor, they give you a referral to a nutritionist, and if it's a nutritionist from the medical field, the information that they give you is lacking uh,
Mhm.
specific things that you need to eat in order to reverse it. You can manage it, you can avoid the spikes, but it's not going to make that insulin sensitivity that you need to have. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're insulin resistant when you're diabetes type 2, or when you have a hard time losing weight, you become insulin resistant, you need to become
Mhm.
insulin sensitive. And the only way you can do it is not through medication, nutrition, exercise, mindset, and a commitment to long term practices that would transform that
Mhm.
a little bit slower than you could possibly see with a medication to shift things. But it will be long term, it will be much more beneficial for you than taking medicine for sure.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
agree with all of this. And with all this knowledge that you have, everything that you've talked to us about, I've got to know when will your book be ready to publish? Everybody wants to hear about this.
Well, I my goal to myself is 6 months. We're now close to December, so I'm assuming May is when my birthday comes. I would like to have it soon, fairly soon. I don't think there's anything in the market that approaches it the way that I do holistically, that looks at the emotions and the healing of trauma and the stories we have, as well as the stress, including
Mhm.
mindfulness, not as a practice, but as a way of living and giving the education like in detail. What do you need to eat,
Mhm.
what do you need to stay away from, and including the the increasing of the water intake, the quality of sleep, all the things that we need to include. I have not found anything so encompassing in the market yet, and I've been in the market for about 6 months at this point, specifically with
Mhm.
the diabetes type 2. And so I think that this book is a tool that women will be able to use in the journey of reversing diabetes. And I plan to give like a set of yoga that will help, a meditation that helps specifically to lower and manage sugar. And that is never something I ever seen in the industry. So the book itself
Mhm.
is how to reverse diabetes type 2 holistically, and it will give you the practices, the knowledge, the mindset shift, and all the explanation that you need to intellectually understand. And then you have to take yourself through the journey, or join the group when we do the program,
Mhm.
so that you can go through the program itself. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes an investment in yourself of time and effort and energy, basically, in order to accomplish anything. So this is no different than anything that you do as a project in life, and it takes time. So if you don't commit to it, if you don't make it a priority, if you're not ready to make changes, be coachable and all that stuff, it won't happen. And I think this book will have all the information you need once you're ready to kind of go from A to Z, from 1 to
Mhm.
10, and say, this is what I need to follow. This is my method. This is my recipe. This is the way I'm going to do it. Sometimes you might need extra help from medicine initially, but in most cases, you can reduce or eliminate
Mhm.
the medicine if you do it long enough to take care of yourself at the root level,
Mhm.
holistically.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. I completely agree with that too. And look forward to your book. Um,
Thank you.
we look forward to hopefully publishing because I think it's a really worthwhile book to have out on the market.
Yeah,
And
there's a
we'll be
lot of
happy to help you.
thank you. I
agree
appreciate
completely.
Susan. There's things like
Um,
we were talking about, the little hints that you follow. There's things
Uh-huh.
that I believe there's no coincidence I'm here with you, because, as I
Hmm.
said, the intention, things lined up to be talking with two people that work in publishing and everything. So I don't
Yeah.
believe in coincidences. There's
No,
things that
I don't
happen that
either.
way.
No, no, absolutely not. And we prayed that God always will bring us our clients. So it's funny, we've had to not work very hard to get clients because they do seem to show up, and He has brought us the right clients. It's been such a joy to do what I do. I love it. And I love helping the authors. I love providing such a wonderful service to people who read the books. I grew up loving books. When I was a child, I read just about every book in our library. So, this is you talk about a calling and a leading. This is my whole life has kind of led to this point of being involved with books. So I'm just very happy to have met you. I really think you're onto something,
Thank
and I really think people should pay attention to what you have to say.
thank you. Thank you so
agree,
much.
which leads me to my next. Um, I think you made a lot of influential with our viewers, with everything that we bring and talk about. So before we end, I want you to tell us more about your groups. Tell us how people can get in contact with you. Tell us how
Yes.
we can share you out there with more people, so that way more people can hear about this.
Yes, all my trainings are led inside of reverse pre-diabetes and diabetes type 2 holistically. It's a Facebook group.
Mhm.
It can be found if you do a search. And I offer their trainings at least twice a month. Tomorrow, I have a training that is all about self control, because we are going into the
Oh,
holiday season, right? How do I
yes.
manage keeping self control, being responsible, and not regretting what I've done in the holiday season? So,
Mhm.
tomorrow, I offer a training there at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you're going to put the link. So, the ladies that want to participate on that training, you can join the group, answer the questions, and be there. And I also have a training starting Monday after that, the 27th of November, right after Thanksgiving, that
Uh-huh.
is called Unstoppable Weight Loss for Professional Women with Insulin Resistance and Diabetes Type 2,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's harder for us to be able to lose weight. And a lot of us need the motivation, the commitment, the inspiration, the idea on how to do it. And so I agree. I in my group, I offer the training for 5 days, Monday through Friday. We offer bonus sessions, and we give you everything you need to get started. The accountability is something you're going to need to, have in order to continue with the process. But intellectually, you would understand how to do it by participating in the training starting November 27th at 7 p.m. And I'm sure you're going to put all the links for people. So come find me
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That is correct. We're going to post all the links on the replay of this. So anybody out there, be sure to follow us, follow Natalia, and all those links will go out there. I think that your message needs to be heard. I think that your book needs to be written. And I think that I agree that we were all brought together for a purpose. And I appreciate that we do this. One thing I want to bring up before we finish is that we are coming up on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday oriented around family and food. So I would like to just go around and get what you're thankful for and what your plans are for Thanksgiving. So Natalia, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to spend Thanksgiving with my family where I am. I live in Melbourne, Florida. And so we are cooking a ham. We're cooking something specifically for my country that is called empanadas, which is turnover with meat inside.
Yeah.
And we're just going to spend it. A friend of ours is going to come and spend it with us. And I'm just grateful for what I call coincidences, not coincidences. Like when you make a cause, then there's going to be things that align. And that's what I'm grateful for, that there's no coincidence that we're here today. And I'm grateful that the path is always leading the way. And, there's a reason why things happen. I'm very grateful that you gave me the opportunity to share my message, to get inspired, to inspire other women. And I'm just very grateful for what I do and the lives I get to touch and the path that is leading me to make much more of an impact. That's what my biggest motivation is make a big impact. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're most very welcome. Thank you for sharing that. And I really want an empanada now. Empanadas are fantastic. I love them.
They're delicious.
Thank
Yes.
you for bringing that up. And yeah, I may have to go out after this podcast and go find me something here local for an empanada.
Yeah.
Thank you very
I
much.
may have to take a look at a recipe book. Yeah.
Susan, what are you thankful for? And what are your plans?
Well, I'm thankful for so many things that Natalia has already mentioned. And I guess I would add one more thing to that, is that I am grateful to God that He does not give up on us, that He's always there, ready to lead us back in the right direction, which is, we shut my phone off. I'm sorry if you hear anything there. Okay, got it. My phone was going off. So sorry, but I am grateful. I'm grateful to God for leading me in the direction that He has. I'm grateful for all of the people that He's brought into my life. I'm grateful, like I said, that He is always there and He doesn't give up, in spite of the fact I have given up on myself many times. I always have to come back to the realization, and I find out in the end that He's been there just kind of waiting for me to get my act together enough to where I can see that He's there again, and can start relying on Him again to help me, because I sure can't do this very well by myself. I'm, like you said, we are weak people. We are not, able to manage our own lives very well at all. And it does take, it takes a lot of things. It takes effort. It takes friends. It takes God. It takes us paying attention to what we think about. You were talking about meditation, and I was thinking about some Bible verses that talked about meditating on God's word day and night. And when we're thinking and meditating on good things like that, then it will clear our minds, and we won't be, having so much of a struggle with not thinking of the things that are, harmful to us in many ways, of thinking that, oh, I'm bad, I'm, things that a person might feel if they're depressed. If you're meditating on God's word, you are thinking of the right things, and it will keep you from, focusing on the wrong things. So anyway, that's my, plus all of the stuff that you said. I'll just make it
what are you doing
easy.
for what are you doing for
What am I
Thanksgiving
doing?
this week?
Well, my husband just got out of the hospital last night, and part of the problem was vomiting and being ill. So I'm hoping that he's going to be well enough to have turkey. He loves to cook, so he usually fixes a turkey, and his mother's wonderful sausage stuffing that is absolutely out of this world. New England, he's from New England, so it's a really wonderful recipe, and he loves to cook it. So I just pray that he feels well enough by Thursday to do the cooking, because I didn't like it when he does the cooking.
Awesome. Well, I want to say that I am thankful for things that I didn't even know I was going to be thankful for. A lot of people who know me know the journey that I've been on, and I've been in a very bad place. Looking back at everything happened for a reason. And as hard and as difficult as it was, as much as it hurt and as much as it put me into a very dark and depressive place, I'm actually thankful for it right now, because it's led me into a place where I am better. I am more mature. I am more focusing on myself. And it is No Shave November, in case the audience out there hasn't seen. I haven't shaved at all this November, and I'm starting to look very scruffy. But it's for a reason, and that is for health, both mental and physical health. So I think you're the perfect person to bring in on this podcast, Natalia. I know that you primarily focus on women's health, but men, we need to focus on our health as well. I'm very thankful for the people that God has brought into my life. I'm very thankful for the stories that we share. I'm very thankful for this podcast. I'm very thankful for the lives that we can all touch. As for what I'm going to do on Thanksgiving, I have no clue right now. Truth be told, if anybody out there is in the Colorado area and they want to cook some turkey, I will gladly come over with my kids and we will eat. Other than that, we may just get a pizza and go see the new Joel's movie. So we'll figure it out as a family, for sure. But I want to thank you, Natalia, for coming on. You are absolutely fantastic for a guest. You're very well versed and I am so excited about your book. I truly hope that we can help you get that to publication and work with you on getting this out there. So thank you for coming on, having your light shine with curiosity and encouragement to our podcast. Hang around in the break room when we're done here. Susan and I are going to finish up. Is there anything you want to say before we end this?
No, I encourage the ladies that are interested in the topic that need support to join us for tomorrow and Monday next week. And if you have questions or you need support and your personal information is something that you don't want to share in the podcast or in the group, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure my contact information will be there. Sometimes people are shy to reach out in this setting and they want to talk with somebody one-on-one. I'm happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Sounds perfect.
Thank you so
for
much.
coming on. I had fun this one. So
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you in just a few. Thank you so much. All right, Susan. Switch that up because with the logo on the left-hand side. That was a very excellent podcast. Natalia was absolutely amazing in what she has.
Yeah.
And I do hope that
Yeah,
do
and
know.
what she brings up so many good points.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Well, to our audience out there, I want you guys to have a very safe and very Thanksgiving week. Be sure to spend that time with family, friends, people who love you. Be sure to celebrate and be mindful, have a more positive mindset, and enjoy the time that you have with your friends and your family right now. Don't overindulge. Don't
Right?
anything that might get you arrested,
Yeah,
and be
yeah,
safe.
good advice.
All right, Susan. Well, I think we need to wrap up one more episode of Shine with
Mhm.
Curiosity and Encouragement. Is there anything
Yeah,
you want to say before we go?
nope, just thank you for being such a great podcast host.
I agree. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, everybody, and have a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. We will have a very special announcement for next week with Susan and I. We've got some fun things coming up for the Christmas holiday, and I hope to see you guys all then. Have
Mhm.
a great night.
Yep. Bye.